You know, I love when the national media catches up with common fan knowledge and then acts like they're brilliant as if they figured something out. Welcome into Clippers Talk.
Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers talks the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
I wasn't thinking about doing a show today. I didn't think I needed to do a show on this topic that we covered 2 months ago. Go look in the live section. Lucas Hand, don't call him Han, was on, and we talked about Giannis Antetokounmpo and the possibility of him coming to the Clippers in 2027. Well, 2 months later, the national media has figured it out what the Clippers' plan was all along. They finally cracked the code. Real tough to figure out that the Clippers have been lining up contracts that are going to expire in 2026 and 2027 so they can go out and make a big move. As I was listening to Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe on the Bill Simmons show on The Ringer earlier today, and I saw other people put this out there on social media, and so I wanted to bring it to you as well. Because I'm just baffled by the fact, how many different ways can I say no shit? No kidding. Hello, McFly. Earth to Bill Simmons, or hello, Captain Obvious. Like, how many ways can I say, of course? You guys are just figuring this out now? A little late to the party, pal. I like The Ringer. I like Bill Simmons. I like Zach Lowe especially. He does great work. And in fact, before I stick the knife in, I'll stick the knife in first. I'll break down this brilliant idea that the Clippers, I don't know if you guys knew this, have been angling to open up cap space in the next 2 years. Did you guys know about this? Have we talked about this ever here on Clippers Talk or Clips and Dip? Or is this just news now because Bill Simmons talked about it? Even though, go in the live section. I mean, we've been talking about this for 2 years. The Clippers master plan. I can't stop laughing at how late the national media is to things sometimes. And maybe it's just the first time they brought it up, and I can give them the benefit of the doubt. But this was earlier today on the Bill Simmons podcast with Zach Lowe.
Of like, they're the just.
First of all, Zach Lowe nails it. He understands exactly what the Clippers are doing by bringing back an older group and adding older guys.
Up
the gold standard.
But for this reason of like, they're the just give yourself the puncher's chance as many times as you can as a good and maybe not great team, and maybe one year it all comes into place. And I think that's the game the Clippers are playing, is like, that's the team.
Well, here's the game the Clippers are actually playing, because if you gave them truth serum.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. If you gave them truth serum.
Let's go. Like, this is some hot take. Something we've known for 2 years, at least. I'm sorry. This is sad.
And you said, do you think you could actually win the title? Like, come on. You'd be like, all right, we have like a haymaker puncher's chance. But OKC is going to be really hard. That's what I've been saying
this whole podcast. I think that's what they think.
But what they've really done here is cleared the books for the summer of 2027.
Holy shit. Bill Simmons is on to us. No way. For real? Are you sure? Guys, he peeked through the smokescreen somehow. I'm in shock.
And the Norm Powell piece was a big part of this. He was going to be unhappy if they didn't give him an extension. They didn't want to give him an extension. Well, why? He was almost an all-star last year. Didn't play well in the playoffs. That's not enough of a reason. Ballmer is a guy that has always spent and added and paid money, and he's never been afraid of the future. And now this is a team that's clearly, we are on short term here. We're on 2 years. Well, why? It's because Giannis is a free agent in the summer of 2027. And
well, I don't think it was just for Giannis, but yeah, he's one who is still a free agent in 2027 for now. If he doesn't sign an extension like SGA did, remember when I was ranting 3 months ago about how none of these guys that are set up to be free agents in 2027, if you just look at projections of where guys' contracts end, are actually going to be free agents in 2027 because they'll sign extensions before. Teams aren't going to let them go for nothing. It's unlikely that any of the elite guys will be available in unrestricted free agency, I think, ever. Because the new CBA, because teams have learned from prior mistakes, it's just going to be extremely rare that that happens. So I've been ranting and raving about this for months because everybody keeps going, well, look at 2027. I mean, SGA is going to be available. Well, he signed the extension this summer. Who's up next? Luka Doncic, August 2nd. Giannis hasn't, and maybe he won't. I don't know when he'd be extension eligible. He currently has a player option for $62 million in the summer of 2027. And Milwaukee just used their stretch provision to have $20 million of dead cap money on the books over the next 5 years to let Dame go so they could get Miles Turner. We'll see. It looks like a desperate move just to try and keep Giannis. I don't blame them. But I've been telling you, I wouldn't be shocked if Giannis gets traded before then. But I'd probably be pretty surprised if he actually gets to being in, without a doubt, unrestricted free agent in the summer of 2027, no strings attached. I don't know if he would leave Milwaukee and not give him anything in return. Hell, CP3 left the Clippers in 2017 and did them a solid. And Lawrence Frank talked about this the other day by opting in and having a little sign-in trade, I think it was, so they could get Pat Bev, Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell, the great Sam Decker. Guys who are legacy guys typically want to help out their team. Giannis is the ultimate legacy guy for Milwaukee. He brought them their first championship in 40 years or whatever it was since Kareem won. Let's hear some more from this riveting hot take that Bill Simmons just figured out what the Clippers' plan was.
Well, why? It's because Giannis is a free agent in the summer of 2027. And this is like there's maybe some TV networks that dabble and specialize in this, just throwing out names and teams. I think this is a real thing. I think the Bucks are.
I like that he's going after his former network in ESPN for having hot takes and bringing up big names for ratings and clickbait. While kind of doing the same thing here. And I guess I am as well. But I have to react to a big name like this in Bill Simmons just coming to the conclusion that, oh, wait, the Clippers are going to have a bunch of cap space coming up. I know what they're doing. Aha! Real Sherlock Holmes over
in
here.
This, just throwing out names and teams. I think this is a real thing. I think the Bucks are terrified of it. I think it's a big reason why the Miles Turner thing happened, because the Bucks knew they were on a 2-year window with Giannis, and that is a player option, and they're trying to do as much as they can to make it so that if anyone's winking at him, that they'll at least have enough of a foundation to try to keep him. The one thing with Giannis is he's already won the title, right? It's when you've already won, it's a different level of mentality because now you're weighing, I've already won. I could start and finish my career in Milwaukee. By all accounts, loves Milwaukee.
The other side of that, of course, is I gave them a title. I'm entitled to go wherever I want at this point. I don't owe them anything else. Like LeBron being able to leave Cleveland after winning a title and going to the Lakers, and they're not really in a position to complain.
But I think if you're the Clippers and short term, you can compete with a puncher's chance for a title, but long term, you have 20 million on your books in the summer of 27. You just have Zubats. That's it.
Holy fucking shit. Who's been telling you this for like 6 months here? We've known this. The latency, the lag of the national media just catching up to what the Clippers have been up to. Maybe that means their plan is more brilliant because only those really in the know, the insiders, the fans that pay attention and care enough about this team on a day-to-day basis, have been in lockstep with where this organization is going and what their long-term plan is.
You can basically build a new team and they're in the best position. Ballmer doesn't care about money. Have you been in the practice facility and that their thing is like a fucking palace. Like you go there and you're like, this is a team that spends every possible asset, dollar, or whatever to impress the people that play for it.
And the people who don't, that could play for them someday. Clippers have been very clear about this. They want the visitors' locker room to be very nice. So they can imagine what the home locker room looks like. In fact, Bradley Beal, I think, mentioned this. It's a recruiting tactic.
And I think that's their end game is that summer of 2027. Short term, let's try to.
No way. No way. I feel like, was it Lloyd? Is it Lloyd Christmas? Who is Jim Carrey's character in Dumb and Dumber when he's walking out of the bar and sees the news clipping, we landed on the moon. No way, really?
Asset, dollar, or whatever to impress the people that play for it. And I think that's their end game is that summer of 2027. Short term, let's try to win. Long term, Giannis. And that's how they're thinking.
So a couple.
Bill did it. He figured it out. Genius stuff here. On top of it.
Couple of things. Lawrence Frank does not wink subtly. He winks like Costanza's got the grapefruit pulp in his eye in Seinfeld. Remember the Kawhi recruitment when he was just like at Toronto games? Just that, and now it might be different with Giannis as a player option, but like there ain't.
See, if I was gonna go for the hard wink, and who's most known for that, just over exaggerating it, I would go with the late great Jessica Walter in Arrested Development. She's like really trying to wink, and I think they make fun of her. She can't because all the Botox. That's the wink I would have gone with there. But continue, Zach.
Ain't nothing subtle about how the Clippers operate. Number two, they're also in position, if need be, to get max cap space a year from now because Harden's contract is partially guaranteed. It's a weird thing where he got the player.
Who told you about this? I had this episode as soon as James Harden and the contract details came out. I had this episode that I titled, what was the title for it here? Let me make sure I got this right. I believe it was like Secret Cap Space. Something like that. Yes, it was Bradley Beal and CP3 updates plus salary cap surprise. I had that for you 2 weeks ago. Once the details came out on the partial guarantee in year 2 of James Harden's contract, I said, forget 2027. The Clippers are going to have money in 2026, possibly. National media, a few weeks later, they're on top of it.
It might be different with Giannis as a player option, but like there ain't nothing subtle about how the Clippers operate. Number two, they're also in position, if need be, to get max cap space a year from now because Harden's contract is partially guaranteed. It's a weird thing where he got the player option and they got, I think it's only 13 million out of 40 whatever million guaranteed. And then they have team options on like a million guys. Bogdanovich team option, Lopez team option, Batum team option. Like they could clear out $50 million of space from their books without even trying. So they're flexible on a couple of different levels, but sure. I mean, everybody knows the timetable of Giannis's contract. Everybody sees how desperate the Bucks are. And you know, I haven't closed the books. I don't think anybody has closed the books. So I'm like, do we know that Giannis is like, okay, I'm done thinking about anything else now. I don't know that.
Yeah, but he, by all accounts, he's fine in Milwaukee. And
he's fine for now. Things don't go well. I'm pretty damn sure if you make an offer to the Milwaukee Bucks, to their front office, that intrigues them, they will go to Giannis because he's a legacy guy, and they will say, hey, we got this offer. We like it, but how would you feel about going to X team? And if he signed off on it, that would be it. If things didn't go well, I'm pretty sure, and I don't know if I trust the way Milwaukee's constructed. I think because they're in the East, they have a chance. They could be a top 6 seed, and Giannis is that good. But I've been saying for a while, I fully believe, after what happened this summer, that if things go south early in the season, that Giannis could become available quickly, or if they end the season on a sour note and lose in the first round and look bad, it will be somebody's going to make an offer to Milwaukee behind the scenes that entices the front office. They wouldn't trade him. I know he doesn't have a no trade clause, but they would not blindside him because he's a legacy guy. But they will go to Giannis and they will say, hey, what do you think about going to this team? Could this work for both of us? We get some young assets, some picks, and you get to go contend again. I think that is completely on the table.
The team's going to be pretty good. I mean, they actually had a really good offseason when you consider like what that the.
I don't know about really good. I don't know how much of an upgrade Miles Turner is from an older Brook Lopez. KPJ's back. Kuzma could fit in better now. They're lucky they're in the East, or Giannis is probably already out the door.
The second best player.
Look, Giannis could end up being that legacy guy that only wants to play for one team. But it seems like he's flirted enough with the idea of going somewhere else, or he has said recently, and he say, for now, I'm with Milwaukee, something to that degree. He's been kind of all over the place with the messaging. I don't think it's at all a sure thing that he ends his career, or at least only plays for the Milwaukee Bucks in his career.
They actually had a really good offseason when you consider like what that the second best player in the team who made $50+ million was going to miss the entire season. And you would have said, this team has no chance to look competitive. The Cole Anthony thing was a big deal. Like they got him to be able to get somebody like that for nothing. He's a rotation guy. They kept Trent for nothing. He's a rotation guy. You know, they've added together a team that in a weak conference with the best player in the conference, at least is now in the game. And I think with more of a puncher's chance than maybe the Clippers have.
Interesting. I actually don't disagree with you. I went through all the.
They have more than a puncher's chance than the Clippers have. The Bucks this year. Maybe to come out of their conference because they're in the East, maybe.
With the best player in the conference, at least is now in the game. And I think with more of a puncher's chance than maybe the Clippers have.
Interesting. I don't disagree with you. I went through all the East rosters the other day and I'm like, the Bucks are actually a little better than I think they are.
It speaks to how bad the East is and the guys who unfortunately got injured in the East. You mentioned Dame, but Halliburton was the top of the East. The Knicks, the Cavs. The Cavs are really good. I believe in them. If Philly could get healthy, but now Paul George is injured again. The story about Embiid and his knee. The Magic are going to be better. They might be third or second best team in the East. The East is bad enough, especially where the bottom falls out. I like what Atlanta did, but Milwaukee should be a top 16 with Giannis, barring health. They were in the West. Yeah, I think they'd be singing a different tune.
Yeah, they have a little more depth and a little more day to day. And I do think they can patch together some lineups that I like. I don't mind a couple of their young guys. They have some shooting already.
And I agree with you. Like, he's shown us over and over again, he would prefer to stay in Milwaukee. It actually reminds.
Prefer. Yes. If they're good, if they're competitive. Giannis is extremely competitive. This is a guy that came into the league in his first All-Star game was going hard. Remember Sean Taylor in the Pro Bowl, the late, great Sean Taylor? When he lit up, who was it? A punter, Brian Moorman or Morad or something? And, like, he didn't get the memo. You're not supposed to play hard here. That was Giannis in his first All-Star game. Giannis competes. He goes hard. But he's good to stay as long as they're in the hunt. He's given them some time this summer to figure things out. I don't think for this next season the saga is over. Now we're good till next summer to worry about Giannis. Depending on how the Bucks play early on, I think the trade talk could heat up quickly if they come out of the gate slowly. Again, because of the Eastern Conference, they could get off to a hot start because of how good Giannis is. So, as long as, yes, the conditions are there to be a contender in Milwaukee, he's good. But I don't get the impression that he is going to settle for being a Milwaukee Bucks lifer forever, regardless of how the team looks. That he's set to end his career there.
And I do think they can patch together some lineups that I like. I don't mind a couple of their young guys. They have some shooting already.
And I agree with you. Like, he's shown us over and over again, he would prefer to stay in Milwaukee. It actually reminds me of, ironically, Dame in Portland, who they just like walked up and walked back, walked up and walked back. And like now that he's back, is publicly saying like, I maybe I shouldn't have ever left. And Giannis kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, you did a good job with Mahoney talking about.
So, Bucks president recently said, quote, "We kind of laugh internally. Giannis loves Milwaukee. Milwaukee loves Giannis. We're in a good place. It's business as usual." That happened a couple of weeks ago. Peter Fagan, I believe is his name. I think that was him on NBA TV during Summer League. May have said that. I was watching that game. But I think this is real. Giannis was talking with, and I'm not that familiar. His name's Speed. I'm about to show my age. He's a social media star. I think this is real. You always have to question AI, creative editing now. I hate having to say that, but this came out, or at least was posted on July 10th.
So you staying in Milwaukee?
Probably. We'll see. See.
So you staying in Milwaukee?
Probably. We'll see. See. Probably. I love Milwaukee.
Okay.
So you staying in Milwaukee?
Probably. We'll see. See. Probably. I love Milwaukee.
I truly believe that. I love Giannis and have for some time because he has seemed loyal to them. He wanted to build something, and they kind of did it the old fashioned way with how they won that championship. Now, if Kawhi doesn't do his ACL, it would have been Bucks versus Clippers. And I've seen Kawhi versus Giannis before in a playoff series. It would have been close, but I would have taken the Clippers. Maybe I'm biased, but I think most people would have taken them. I think they would have been favored in that series. Milwaukee would have had home court, I believe, but that would have been your 2021 finals. So he says probably there. We'll see. I don't think he's dead set on ending his career there. I think his priority is winning, as it should be. And as long as they're building a team that can win, Giannis is good. Now, let's say he ended up being an unrestricted free agent, which I think is unlikely, and no strings attached, could go wherever he wanted to in the summer of 2027. He opts out of $62 million. Well, he's going to be 32 or 33. He is going to be older. I have had some concerns in the past about how is Giannis going to age, because he relies on his athleticism heavily. I'm not saying the old James Harden quote when they both had beef and I can't just go out there and run and dunk or whatever, because Giannis does have a ton of skill to him. A big man being able to handle the ball in transition like that, ton of skill to do that. But I wonder how he is going to age, and with his game being so predicated on athleticism to some degree, how he's going to look. Now, at 32, 33, you're not worrying about it too much, health permitted. And I have to say this, Giannis got way better in the mid-range this season, guys. This went way under the radar. Giannis shot 48% from 10 to 14 feet out and 45% from 15 to 19 feet out. Like, if you just go back a year, and there's a decent enough sample size there, he's almost at 30% in those categories. He really worked on his shooting. And another reason Giannis is one of my favorites is because when he won that championship in Game 6, they were down 2-0 to Phoenix in 2021. They won the next 4 games. Giannis may have had the best closeout game ever. Maybe it's between him and Magic's rookie year against Philadelphia, where he played all 5 positions and won the championship, I think, in that Game 6. But Giannis dropped 50, and he overcame his bugaboo at the free throw line. Where did he hit? 17 or 18 free throws? That was incredible. So I do believe Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to continue to refine his game. He's one of the hardest workers, get more and more skilled as he goes along. So I'm not as worried about him being 32 or 33, as long as he doesn't have a major injury between now and when he could be a free agent. Why do we have a guy in here that just continues to hate? Why so many trolls? Does that mean we're getting more popular? Is that what this is? Clippers talk? We're on the map now? I want to make sure I get the back end of this conversation into with Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe.
Giannis kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, ironically, Dame in Portland, who they were just like walked up and walked back, walked up and walked back. And like now that he's back, is publicly saying like, I maybe I shouldn't have ever left. And Giannis kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, you did a good job with Mahoney talking about on the pod you did with Mahoney this week about the culture that Dame put in Portland and how he was all in and all in and all in. And I think what changed that was the Scoot Henderson pick and just getting a top 3 pick and taking a future point guard. And I just think that changed how they thought about it, which is why I brought.
See, I don't think the comparison between Giannis and Dame is that strong. Dame's championship is being that lifer in Portland, is being the greatest Portland Trailblazer of all time. Because you could say it's Bill Walton because he brought him the championship, but obviously he had the health concerns, RIP Bill Walton, but all the foot injuries, Clippers know about that very well when he came to San Diego. And Dame has the longevity GOAT case for being the greatest Portland Trailblazer over Clyde, even though he got to 2 NBA finals. Let's see. They lost to the Pistons. They lost to Mike and the Bulls. Yes. I think Dame has a case. Like, that's his championship. That's his legacy there. Giannis has already won in Milwaukee. It's not just a nice story or a lovable, I don't want to say loser, but came up short. And I don't put it on Dame. I don't think he's not as good of a player as Giannis. I don't know if Dame was ever going to be a number one on a championship team. I think that's why he went to Milwaukee. He could be a number two on a championship team. Giannis obviously was a number one on a championship team, despite people calling him. I remember people saying he was Robin. I think that was Kendrick Perkins, that he can't be that guy. Now, Chris Middleton showed up in big ways in the playoffs, and Drew Holiday, and they had some big performances from other guys. Bobby Portis, old friend PJ Tucker, Brooke Lopez, now our new friend. But Giannis was clearly Batman. So I think he's hungry to win another and build upon not just his legacy with the Milwaukee Bucks, his legacy in NBA history and where he ranks. I don't know where that recent list put him. I think it was by Bleacher Report that had all the conversation about Kobe Bryant being 11th all time. I don't know where they had Giannis, but Giannis getting another chip would do wonders for his legacy and his all-time status. I think it's different than Dame. Dame just, first of all, he doesn't have a chance, especially now, to win as the number one option. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to win as a number two. If he just stays in Portland, I don't know if they're ever going to be good enough. And he's coming back off an Achilles at the age of 35. I don't know if he's how. I love Dame. I hope he's great still, but I have my doubts, and he always had deficiencies on defense anyways. He's not going to be better getting older and coming off an Achilles. Giannis and him are in two separate tiers in NBA history. And I think Giannis knows I can go down as one of the all-time greats. I keep winning. Not just I got one in Milwaukee, and that's it. I think Giannis is too competitive and too hungry for that. Maybe Milwaukee figures it out, and they can keep him there because they're so good. And they draft the right guy, and I don't know what their situation with picks is because they gave up a lot for Drew Holiday, and they've had their own salary cap issues, obviously. But they can figure it out and keep him there, and he can win again there. But I just don't think the priority for Giannis, in my opinion, would be just remaining a Milwaukee Buck for the sake of the nice story of being their guy. I think he could look elsewhere eventually. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the Clippers, but damn it, it's a nice place to come to.
I brought up San Antonio earlier. Sometimes you can get lucky in the draft and it can just completely change what you thought your plans were for a roster. And in that case, I think, I would have been really interested if he hadn't gotten hurt to see how they would have handled Dame this summer and whether they would have tried to peddle him, because he ended up the second half of the season before he got hurt. I thought he was pretty good. All right, so we planted our flag on keep an eye on this Giannis Clippers thing. I'm not saying we.
Okay, planting our flag on something that we've been talking about forever here. Now, hold on. Full context. I think Bill Simmons, who I do really like, I'm just giving him a hard time here. He's going to acknowledge that they may not have been first to this.
We planted our flag on keep an eye on this Giannis Clippers thing. I'm not saying we invented it, but
not saying we invented it. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I was having some fun here, poking fun at the fact that they're a little bit late on the uptake with where the Clippers and their master plan was at, because a lot of us we've known this forever. But today it comes out on the Ringer and everybody's freaking out or talking about it like this is news. Giannis could be one of the possibilities. Who knows? Everybody in the league would be interested in Giannis coming to them if he's a free agent then. And a lot of other teams now are trying to set themselves up, including the other team across town with the Lakers, to have more cap space in 2027. And I also want to give credit to the Ringer and Bill Simmons and Zach Lowe, because Zach Lowe, as always, he gets it. It's different when you cover one team consistently, as we do more so, even though I try to keep up with everything else too. But at a microscopic level, obviously I'm embedded with the Clippers and knowing what's happening with them. It's harder for national guys, and that's probably why it took so long for them to understand where the Clippers were going with the salary cap and who they could be after, to catch on to this. But Zach Lowe is probably as good as it gets when it comes to knowing high level nuanced stuff about organizations and franchises and where they are in their lifespan. When you have to know about all of them in his position, he's probably the best in the game on that. And I like the way he interpreted what the Clippers are doing here.
Clippers. Okay. Number one, I don't think anyone with the Clippers has any like illusions about what they are. They probably think we are a really, really good team that slots in fourth in the West at best. Out goes Ben Simmons, Norm Powell, Amir Coffey, Drew Eubanks, Jordan Miller. In comes Brooke Lopez, Bradley Beal, John Collins, Chris Paul. They're undeniably like better than the team that was last year. They have 11 guys who can really play. They're going to need all 11 to get through the regular season. And I think the idea of the team is like, look, we know the issues with our top two guys. Harden's playing big games, Kawhi's availability, etc. We know how good those other three teams are. All we can do with the resources that we have and the money we've committed to these two older veterans at the center of our team is put ourselves in the best position possible to pounce if the matchups break right. If a team takes an injury that's in the top three, that's all they can do. I don't think they're going into the season like, oh yeah, we hit it out of the park. We're a championship favorite. I think they know exactly what they are.
I think that's perfectly put. That's a great assessment, great analysis, nice way to lay it out with the graphics and everything. Zach Lowe cooked, killed that. That's a good little succinct way to put it in a snappy, even though he's a long form guy like me, but with their social media team, they they put that in a very palatable way, easy to digest where the Clippers are at. So as much as I was hating on Bill Simmons and them being late to the party, in the end, this is the content. These are the NBA guys I do listen to. It's just when it's your team they're talking about now, it's like you start being heavily critical. But the truth is they're covering all of them. So they may not always have the inside knowledge on something. All right, let's get to your commentary here. Bermuda said if Clippers get Giannis, we could possibly win a championship. Big if true. Bray said, haha, I had just finished this section of the Simmons pod. Playoff LAC said signing Giannis and Kawhi returning on a massive pay cut or payout is something I can dig. Others talking about Kawhi in this situation. The sports guru said, hey, Adam, do you think if we get Giannis, Kawhi would stay and continue to play? When Kawhi signed the extension, they asked him about his future after that. And he said, we'll see how I'm playing at that age. He'll be 35 in the summer of 2027. I could see Kawhi as a guy that, he could disappear like Tim Duncan off the map. He's not somebody that's going to have some swan song retirement season of everybody celebrating him. He could just disappear. It's Kawhi, man of mystery. And maybe at 35, and he's talked about wanting to play with his kids and all the injuries he has had, that might be enough for him. We'll see. Kevin Richards said, I'm calling it. Luka is going to not sign his extension with the Lakers and possibly come to the Clippers in 2026. You can call it, but I will have this receipt on August 2nd if he signs that extension. Because I fully expect him to. He's helped them with recruiting, talked to Ayton, talked to Marcus Smart. When Mark Walter took over as majority owner, said he wants to win championships, Luka Doncic, with this organization. All the signs are there that he is going to accept the extension. Aside from the fact that it's $223 million, and with injury concerns, you got to take that money. Yeah, I think that's wishful thinking. Sports Guru said in 2027, we could have a lineup of Zoo, Giannis, Kawhi, Nemhard, and Tyler Hero. Your thoughts, Adam? Sure, I guess the Pacers guys are coming to LA. That's a nice looking lineup. I think in 2027, by then, Zoo will be shooting 3-pointers at like a 38% clip, right? Because for him and Giannis to work together well, remember, Giannis has played next to Brook Lopez, who's a stretch big. Zoo's going to have to expand his range. Ray said, Intuit Dome and Steve Ballmer are the greatest advantage in the league. Ownership is the greatest advantage in sports, and the Clippers have Steve Ballmer. So you're saying there's a chance. Someone said Officer Doofy on the case. Is that from Scream? Was that David Arquette's character? Are you calling Bill Simmons Officer Doofy? Jimmy Williams said, dude on the left looks like a zombie. Okay, let's not have personal attacks. Bill Simmons does a great job. I love the Ringer. Goku said, Giannis wants to win. The Clippers isn't the place to be if that's your goal. Somebody's just hating in here. It's just the Knicks, Magic, and Cavs. Oh, when I was running through the top teams in the East. Johnny said that Bucks team is garbage. No, he'll be 33 at most, summer 2027, I believe. Yeah, Goku did correct that. Summer trying to speak it into existence, manifest it. Giannis to the Clippers confirmed. Y'all manifested John Collins. It took some time. Brian said the Clippers will never win a chip. Okay, so we got multiple haters in here. Are these Ringer guys that are getting Bill Simmons back? Tim A said the margins are so tight with the Bucks. If Giannis misses any time, that roster can't carry. I agree. I'd be pretty concerned. Giannis has had his own injury issues, especially in the playoffs last few years. Miles Johnson said, I don't love the Giannis Zoo fit, but he's definitely a real 4, though. As I mentioned, Ivica Zubac, he could expand his game by then. Back with Brook Lopez, they were Lakers together, but Brook wasn't. That was like the beginning of him starting to take more threes. Zoo's form looks good, but probably needs to hit it at a higher rate at the free throw line than he did this season. Traditionally, he does. In the second half of this season, he was much better at the line. It's rare that a guy is bad at the line and good from 3 or a good shooter, but Zoo is skilled enough. He can do it. Punk's Gone Wrong said, did you call Giannis, Yannick, Freudian slip? Did I call him Yannick? My bad. I think I've called Yannick Giannis at times too. This headset, I don't hear myself that well. So sometimes it kind of disrupts my speaking. Ray said, got to discuss the earlier part of the video where they hate on Harden. I'm good with that. I'm good off that. Look at the Harden in elimination game stuff. It's real. But game 6 was also an elimination game. And he was great then. He played 47 minutes. And that was a must-win game against Denver, too. He gets no credit for that. And all the blame for game 7 when who showed up? Even Kawhi, for his standard, I would say not at his best. Miles Johnson said, I don't think there's any Harden guys in the media at all. He's probably the most disliked great player in the league right now. He definitely takes more incoming than I think is deserved. I think he's been a really good Clipper. God, he just got the Bradley Beal deal done for us, guys. He was on the phone with 30 minutes with Mark Bartelstein, his agent, telling him why he should be a Clipper. Chunk said, Adam, did you hear all the hate to Harden? Yes, I heard it. Bill Simmons has been on that for a while. Miles Johnson, I get the Harden hate, but listen to the Clips preview before the start of last season by Lowe and Simmons. They thought they would suck, yet they still give Harden 0 credit. It's funny, but I get it. Yeah, you can't act like the regular season doesn't matter at all. They don't win 50 games without James. He was an all-star. He was all-NBA third team. He had a really good year. It ended on a sour note. John said, Adam, do you see that how Beal readily gave CP3 the number 3? It shows a sacrifice in chemistry that will take us to the next level. I hope so. Lawrence Frank talked about that. Bradley Beal offered it up immediately. There's a level of buy-in to that. And speaking of Chris Paul, if you guys haven't seen this, first of all, they already got jerseys, I think, at the fan store. But he went on with Jimmy Fallon last night, and he was promoting like some vegan chips or something. And then, unbeknownst to CP3, or he acted very well, he acted surprised. Jimmy Fallon had a gift for him as well after he told the audience, everybody here is getting these chips or eating chips, pop chips. What are they?
See, I have something for you too.
For me?
Yes. It was just announced yesterday that you signed with the Los Angeles Clippers, marking your return to the team where you were a 5-time All-Star. Now, they wanted me to present you with this. It's your official jersey. This is it.
First time seeing it.
Is this first time
First
for
time
real?
seeing it.
First time seeing it right here, Chris Paul. The best, bud. Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Welcome home. Welcome home, man. Chris Paul, everybody, come on. I have.
Cool moment there. That was a bit of a nostalgia trip. That made it more real for all of us, I think. Seeing the red jersey, he used to wear red, where the Clippers just brought it back this past season. But now it's the new shade with the new logo. It's a beautiful sight. John said, Adam, okay, I just read this, Adam, you dumbass. I'm not interested in the Harden conversation. Chunk said they had an entire segment on Bradley Beal being the reason the Suns were dysfunctional and how it will happen here because it'll be worse with Harden. I wouldn't characterize it as they said Bradley Beal was the reason. Bill Simmons was asking questions and looking for answers on what went wrong in Phoenix. I think you could say there's plenty of blame to go around. He even talked about slicing up the blame pie, who gets the biggest amount of blame, but he wasn't just saying it was only on Bradley Beal. A lot of things went wrong there, including just roster construction, not having adequate big men. Chung said, I'm telling you guys, okay, still on Harden. Miles Johnson said that was a sixth man who turned himself into an MVP and probably top 40 player ever, and somehow gets constantly called lazy and not hardworking. He has his faults for sure, but the negativity is crazy. Yeah, there's far too much hate towards James Harden. So let's show him some love. He's been a very good Clipper. People treat Harden like he should be a top 10 player, but wouldn't rank him in the top 30. And if you're all NBA third team, it kind of means you were a top 15 player this past year. D Flo said, you think if Kawhi does well this season, Clips offer him another 4-year deal? Doubtful. I think they're going to let this contract play out and see what happens, as this entire conversation is centered around the Clippers having a ton of money in 2027. Miles Johnson said, I don't think he has any guys in the media either. Like, he gets zero protection from them and never responds to any of it when it's constant. I really respect him for that because I would be the opposite. I think when Harden said he was the system, Harden in that press conference, when he got introduced by the Clippers, he was downright defiant at times. I think he was kind of firing back. Like, y'all forgot, put some respect on my name. And he wasn't lying about him being a system. He said a system, not the system, by the way. That's an important clarification. He's not a role player. He is a system. That's facts. You can't argue with it. Miles Johnson said, same reason I really respect Kawhi as well. He never responds and just works to come back every time. Well, Kawhi doesn't even see the media stuff. So, of course, he's not going to respond. He's not on social media, really. Amin said the reason why he gets blamed for Game 7 is because that's the biggest game. It is. After the biggest game was Game 6 to get to a Game 7. If you don't win that and you played great in that, you don't have a Game 7. So I think we need to at least acknowledge how good he was in Game 6. David said, if Giannis get picked up by the Clippers, I'll probably stay a Clipper fan when Kawhi leaves. Oh, so you're a Kawhi fan, not a Clipper fan. Amin said, as much hate as Harden gets for the performance in the playoffs, Kawhi was not good enough. For his standard, no. 25 points per game from Kawhi. Probably needs to be 28 plus. Dennis said, but he still was their best player. I just would say he wasn't quite at his best throughout the entire series. Game 1 obviously had some mistakes down the stretch. The turnover with Jamal Murray. I know he had 7 turnovers or whatever it was, but some of those were like him going for an offensive rebound. It goes out on him, and they call that a turnover. That's not the same thing. But yes, Kawhi can play better. He has an entire season to train, and didn't have to have a surgery this time. First time in 2020 where he has a healthy offseason. I'm excited to see what he looks like. Dennis said, I wonder if we didn't get CP3, would we have given Beal the 3? That's an interesting question. Dennis Z said, assumed it was a given it would be retired. Yeah, it's not a bad point. Amin said, so wholesome, I swear, seeing Chris Paul seeing his Clippers jersey. It did look organic, like that was unexpected. And Jimmy Fallon was going to hand it to him like that. John said, very cool. Jim said, I watched the playoffs and Kawhi didn't produce enough. I thought he was too passive, especially in Game 5. I definitely thought there were times where he floated and was in the background more than I expected him to be. John said, if Adam reads your comment, you should like the channel. Like and subscribe, because it's really you guys who remind me to say that. I need to more often. Roniel said this Clippers team is the oldest in NBA history at 33.2 years of age, but old is gold. Remember what Kawhi said, slow is pro. Well, if you're older, you're typically slower. Slow is pro. Yeah, I saw that. Based upon minutes played, average age is 33.2 years. Yeah, I've acknowledged it. If you look in the video section, I was on with Rogan and Rodney on AM 570 LA Sports yesterday talking about this. You have to acknowledge it. That is their biggest flaw, and it's a real one. And they would be the oldest team, obviously, to ever win a championship, since they're already the oldest team in NBA history. And after the 2 teams we saw go to the finals last year, feels like, yeah, you got to be a younger, more athletic team. But the Clippers might find a way to buck the trend or do it a different way. The point is, they didn't have options. Like, if there were skilled guys out there, if there was a guy at 27 instead of 37, as good as Brook Lopez they could get for the same price, they would have done it. Those guys don't exist. They made the roster as good as they could, regardless of age. Getting younger is great. Getting better is better. Chunk said, you have to think of his past too. Houston loves him. Nets like him and don't blame him. Sixers hate him, but have been a dysfunction since. Still talking about the James Harden stuff. Oh, someone even brought it up. Adam, do you agree with Kawhi that slow is pro? How can I not? Drew Scott said, Unk City, welcome to the Unction. Johnny626 said, 2026 is the year of the Unks. Noah Bullock said, if CP3 and Blake get theirs retired, does DJ get 9 retired as well? Probably. All-time rebounder and field goal percentage leader in Clippers franchise history. Adam, do you still believe that we can still win a championship with Kawhi as the main guy? Because I'm starting to think he can't do it, not just because of the injuries, but I feel like he runs out of gas. Well, we're about to find out this season. I could go either way on that. Based upon that playoff series with the Denver Nuggets, he still was very, very good. I don't know what it would have looked like, though, how much gas he would have had in the tank as you move along in the playoffs. You got to win 4 series. That's very tough. As you get older, it's even tougher. More of attrition. It's going to be about where does Kawhi get to, as Lawrence Frank mentioned this in his exit interview this season. Where does he get to now that he has an offseason to train? How good does he look after that? This year will determine whether or not Kawhi Leonard can still be a number one option on a championship team. Johnny626 said, I hope Ty goes for the unction lineup at least once. Paul, Harden, Batum, Leonard, Lopez. Jung said, back on the Clips, if the lineup is too stacked, can you see a world at the trade deadline packaging two people for one better rotational player? I love all 11, but I'd get it. Cross that bridge when we get there. It is July. But yeah, they have tradable assets and contracts. Miles Johnson said, apart from age, what are the basketball weaknesses of this current roster, Adam? Mine would be volume three-point shooting. I think there's something to that. I would go with rim pressure from slashers and guards. I hope Bradley Beal is really getting downhill a lot because they just don't have many guys that can do that. I was surprised at times last season how much James Harden went to the hoop. But I think it's just rim pressure. All right. Appreciate you guys. I didn't expect to be on this long. I thought I might do like 15 minutes. We're almost at an hour. I'm Adam Osland saying I still love the Ringer. I'll talk to you guys next time here on Clippers Talk.